Hello, my dear lore seekers. Welcome back to another quiet evening, settling into the hidden corners of magical history. Tonight, let us gently turn our gaze away from the familiar halls of Hogwarts and embark on a grander journey. We drift across continents and cultures, seeking out the other great bastions of magical learning scattered across our world. Prepare your mind for a voyage through elegance, through shadows, and through lands steeped in ancient power. Settle in, breathe deeply, and let us explore the diverse tapestry of the wizarding world as we visit Beauxbatons, Durmstrang, and schools hidden far beyond. Before we begin, if you find value in our stories, please take a moment to like and subscribe, or check out our Patreon link in the description below. Your support is what allows us to continue these journeys together. We appreciate it more than you know. And now, let's begin. Imagine leaving the damp chill of the British Isles behind, traveling south until the landscape softens and the air grows warm and scented with lavender and wild herbs. Our destination lies nestled somewhere in the breathtaking beauty of the Pyrenees Mountains, the formidable range that forms a natural border between France and Spain. Here, hidden from any prying Muggle eyes, lies the Beauxbatons Academy of Magic. Visitors who have been granted the privilege of seeing it speak of a sight that stills the heart. A magnificent chateau, a palace of shimmering pale stone, surrounded by formal gardens and elegant lawns that seem to have been conjured directly from the mountainous landscape by a masterful enchantment. This is not a fortress of gray stone and defensive ramparts like Hogwarts. The Palace of Beauxbatons is a place of light, grace, and exquisite architecture, with wide windows that drink in the southern sun. Upon entering, one is not greeted by suits of armor, but by an immense entrance hall, from which two grand spiral staircases curve upwards towards the higher floors. To the left, a reception parlor and a student gallery for displaying artistic works. To the right, the kitchens and the grand dining chamber. The second floor is dominated by a vast ballroom, while the upper levels are dedicated to classrooms and the school's extensive library. The palace is divided into three primary wings. The East Wing, which houses spaces for the arts and the dueling block. The main building for communal and academic life, and the West Wing, which is comprised entirely of dormitories for the students and staff. The grounds themselves are a marvel, cared for by fairies and sprites, featuring a large man-made lake and world-famous gardens filled with a spectacular variety of magical flora. The very name of the school, Beauxbatons, translates from French as beautiful sticks, or more poetically, beautiful wands, a name that perfectly captures the elegance and artistry that define this institution. The precise origins of Beauxbatons are shrouded in a lovely layered mythology, with different legends offering their own version of its birth. The most commonly accepted historical consensus places its founding somewhere around the year 1290, making it a contemporary of Hogwarts and Durmstrang. However, other accounts suggest a more ancient and organic beginning. Some scholars believe that a collective of students and teachers descended from the line of the miracle-working Genoveva de Nanterre were meeting consistently from the 10th century onwards, formalizing into a school over time, and moving to their current, unplottable location on a bluff by the sea in the year 1313. Yet another, more romantic tale attributes the school's creation to a prophetic dream. This legend speaks of a gifted seer from Marseille named Brie Papillon-Lys, born in 1066. From a young age, she was haunted by a vision of a magnificent palace under the Mediterranean sun, a bastion of culture and learning for generations of witches and wizards to come. She shared this vision with her close friend, a naturalist and divination enthusiast named Bellefeuille, and a wealthy, progressive wizard named Lothar Ombrelune, who had grown to despise his family's dark magical heritage. Together, these three founders are said to have dedicated the academy on the spring solstice of 1107, fulfilling the prophecy and creating a school built on the foundations of foresight, nature, and a desire for a more enlightened form of magic. Whichever tale holds the most truth, it is undeniable that by the late 13th century, Beauxbatons had established itself as a premier institution. Its history is deeply intertwined with one of the most famous names in all of wizarding lore, Nicolas Flamel. The legendary alchemist and his wife, Perenelle, met at Beauxbatons during their youth. They would go on to become the school's most significant patrons. It is said that the stunning castle and its sprawling grounds were part funded by their alchemist gold, a gift born from their discovery of the Philosopher's Stone. As a lasting tribute to their generosity and their world-changing legacy, a magnificent fountain stands in the center of the school's park. Named for Nicolas and Perenelle Flamel, its waters are believed to possess both healing and beautifying properties, a physical monument to the school's deep and enduring connection to the highest and most mysterious forms of magic. This patronage cemented the school's reputation not just as a place of learning, but as a center for profound magical discovery. Over the centuries, Beauxbatons embraced this identity, experiencing a great cultural renaissance in the late 15th century that saw the formal incorporation of the arts into its curriculum, solidifying its status as a beacon of European magical culture. Life at Beauxbatons is a study in refinement and grace. The student body is considerably larger and more diverse than that of Hogwarts, drawing pupils not only from France, but also from Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Belgium. This creates a rich multicultural environment where many languages can be heard echoing through the sunlit corridors. The students themselves carry an air of polish and sophistication. They wear uniforms of fine, pale blue silk, a striking contrast to the heavy, dark wool robes of Hogwarts. The atmosphere of the school reflects this emphasis on beauty and order. The dining chamber, unlike the often raucous Great Hall, is a place of serene elegance. During meals, students are serenaded by choirs of wood nymphs, their ethereal music drifting through the air. At Christmas time, the chamber is not decorated with trees and festive banners, but with enormous, non-melting ice sculptures that glitter around the room like huge statues of diamond. The food, as Fleur Delacour would attest, is simply superb, likely prepared with a magical artistry that borders on the divine. This culture of elegance is not merely for show. It is an integral part of the Beauxbatons philosophy. Where Hogwarts prizes bravery and daring, Beauxbatons values poise, discipline, and a deep appreciation for the aesthetic dimensions of magic. It fosters an environment where magical expression is seen as an art form, and where the conduct of a witch or wizard is considered just as important as the power of their spells. This is reflected in the school's cordial, though competitive relationship with other institutions. Beauxbatons has a long history of participation in the Triwizard Tournament, and though it holds 62 wins to Hogwarts' 63, the rivalry has always been one of mutual respect. The school's headmistress during Harry Potter's time, the brilliant and undeniably awe-inspiring Olympe Maxime, embodies this spirit perfectly. Despite her half-giant heritage, a fact she is initially reluctant to admit, she carries herself with an elegance and authority that commands immediate respect, proving that true stature has little to do with physical size. The educational philosophy of Beauxbatons is as distinct as its culture. The scholastic system itself is structured differently from Hogwarts. Students sit their most important exams, the equivalent of ordinary wizarding levels, at the end of their 6th year, allowing for an additional year of foundational study before specialization. The curriculum, while covering the essential core subjects of magic, like charms, potions, and transfiguration, places a unique and profound emphasis on the arts, social graces, and the more refined applications of magic. Beauxbatons offers specialized concentrations, or écoles, in fields such as culinary arts, humanities, performance arts, and studio arts. Students can take electives in dance, music, theater, painting, sculpture, and even architecture. The extracurricular activities further reflect this focus, with clubs for fencing, horseback riding, ballet, and various social arts available to students. This academic structure suggests a fundamentally different view of what constitutes a complete magical education. At Hogwarts, the curriculum is overwhelmingly practical and defense-oriented, designed to prepare students for a world of conflict and danger. At Beauxbatons, the education is designed to produce well-rounded, cultured individuals who see magic not just as a tool for survival, but as a medium for creation, expression, and influence. This is perhaps most evident in the unique components of their core classes. Defense against the dark arts, for example, is said to include diplomacy in its coursework, suggesting that the best way to defeat a dark wizard might not always be with a curse, but with a well-negotiated treaty or a powerful alliance. Etiquette is a core class, teaching students how to navigate the complex social hierarchies of the wizarding world with grace and confidence. Another theoretical course, simply called performance, is not about theater, but about building an image, projecting confidence, and understanding how one's appearance and bearing can impact social interactions. This educational approach cultivates a specific kind of power. A Beauxbatons graduate is trained not only to be a powerful duelist, but also a skilled diplomat, a captivating artist, or an influential socialite. Their magic is a tool of culture and influence, not just of force. They learn that a perfectly crafted potion can be as persuasive as a compelling argument, and that a spell cast with elegance and precision is a mark of true mastery. This philosophy explains the characteristic poise of students like Fleur Delacour and the commanding presence of Madame Maxime. Their power lies not just in the spells they can cast, but in the effortless authority with which they carry themselves, an authority born from an education that values grace as highly as it values strength. The history of Beauxbatons is illuminated by the extraordinary witches and wizards who have walked its halls, their legends a testament to the school's unique values. Foremost among them, of course, is Nicolas Flamel. Born in the 14th century, he was a brilliant alchemist who, alongside his wife Perenelle, whom he met at the Academy, achieved the magnum opus of alchemy, the creation of the Philosopher's Stone. With the elixir of life produced by the stone, the Flamels lived for over 600 years, witnessing centuries of wizarding history unfold. Though he could have amassed unimaginable wealth by turning base metals into gold, Flamel was known for his quiet life and philanthropy, most notably his generous funding of his alma mater. His life represents the pinnacle of magical scholarship and the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake, a core tenet of the Beauxbatons ideal. His eventual decision, in agreement with his old friend Albus Dumbledore, to destroy the stone and embrace mortality after centuries of life, speaks to a wisdom that transcends even the quest for immortality. Another celebrated alumnus is Vincent Duc de Trèfle-Pique, a wizard who lived during the French Revolution. As the Reign of Terror swept through France in the late 1790s, this clever wizard found himself facing the guillotine. In a display of astonishing nerve and magical finesse, he cast a concealment charm on his own neck and feigned decapitation, managing to escape his executioners. His story is often told as a prime example of the Beauxbatons way, using magic not with brute force, but with wit, elegance, and grace under the most extreme pressure. However, not all of Beauxbatons' famous students used their refined skills for good. The school's history also includes the cautionary tale of Luc Millefeuille, an infamous pastry maker Mille was a master of potions and culinary charms, but he turned his talents to a dark purpose, poisoning muggles. His name, which translates to 1,000 leaves, is a reference to the delicate French pastry, a chillingly elegant moniker for a serial murderer. His story serves as a quiet, unsettling reminder that darkness can wear a beautiful mask, and that even the most cultured and sophisticated magical education cannot guarantee a virtuous heart. The methods of a dark wizard from Beauxbatons might be more subtle than those of a Durmstrang graduate, but no less deadly. From the alchemist who conquered death to the nobleman who tricked it, the legacy of Beauxbatons is one of ingenuity, artistry, and a profound understanding that the most powerful magic is often that which is wielded with the greatest style. Now, our next journey takes us far to the north, to the frozen, rugged landscapes of Scandinavia. The exact location of the Durmstrang Institute is one of the most closely guarded secrets in the wizarding world. A secret so paramount that any visitors who are granted access must consent to a memory charm to erase their knowledge of how they got there upon their departure. What little is known suggests the school is hidden away in the far northern reaches of either Sweden or Norway, in a mountainous region where the winter sun barely rises above the horizon, plunging the days into a perpetual twilight. The castle itself is a stark and imposing structure, though not as grand or sprawling as Hogwarts. It stands only 4 stories tall, a dark silhouette against the snow and rock. Inside, the atmosphere is austere and cold. Fires are lit only for magical purposes, not for mere warmth or comfort, reflecting a culture that values hardiness and endurance over creature comforts. The grounds are vast and wild, encompassing mountains and at least 2 large, dark lakes. Moored on one of these mountain lakes is perhaps Durmstrang's most iconic feature, a great, dark, spectral ship, its skeletal masts reaching towards the gray sky. It is from this very ship that students are said to dive during the brief, bright summer months, and it is this same vessel that carries the Durmstrang delegation across seas and even underwater to arrive at international events like the Tri-Wizard Tournament. Durmstrang is an ancient school, having existed since at least the Middle Ages, its history as harsh and unforgiving as its northern climate. It was founded by the great Bulgarian witch Nerida Vulcanova, a powerful and enigmatic figure about whom little is definitively known. The very fact that a Bulgarian witch founded a school in the far reaches of Scandinavia has long been a subject of speculation among magical historians. One compelling theory posits that Vulcanova herself was a refugee, living in the 12th or 13th century. She may have been fleeing the religious persecution and violent upheaval of the Crusades that were tearing through southeastern Europe at the time. Traveling ever northward in search of a place of safety, she may have followed ancient trade routes to the remote, sparsely populated lands of Scandinavia, a place far from the conflicts that had driven her from her home. If this is true, then Durmstrang was likely founded not as a bastion of dark magic, but as a sanctuary, a hidden place where witches and wizards could learn and practice their craft in peace, far from the prying eyes and burning pyres of muggles. Nerida Volchanova's vision would have been one of survival through seclusion, a school built on the principle of safety and isolation. This original purpose, however, was tragically short-lived. The historical record is grimly clear on one point. Nerida Volchanova's tenure as headmistress ended with her mysterious demise. Shortly after her death, the school fell under the stewardship of a wizard named Harfang Munter, described as a wizard of dubious allegiance or nefarious intent. Munter fundamentally and irrevocably altered the school's destiny. Where Volchanova sought safety in hiding, Munter believed that true safety could only be found in strength. He saw the world not as something to hide from, but as a hostile force to be dominated. Under his leadership, the curriculum of Durmstrang was transformed. He established the school's formidable reputation for dueling and all forms of martial magic, shifting its entire ideology from one of peaceful refuge to one of militaristic readiness. The sanctuary became a fortress. The students were no longer just scholars. They were soldiers, trained to view magic primarily as a weapon for survival and conquest. This dark turn, this foundational shift from a haven to a barracks, explains the core identity of Durmstrang to this day. Its intense secrecy, its brutal discipline, its focus on combat, and its inherent suspicion of all outsiders are not necessarily the products of pure evil, but of a deeply ingrained, centuries-old philosophy that the only way to survive a hostile world is to be stronger and more ruthless than your enemies. Life at Durmstrang is not for the faint of heart. The school is run with a harsh, almost militaristic discipline, designed to forge its students into powerful and resilient wizards. The uniform itself speaks to the school's environment and ethos. Students wear thick fur cloaks and fur hats over blood-red robes, practical attire for the biting northern cold, but also intimidating in its appearance. Famously, and perhaps as a legacy of its darker headmasters, Durmstrang does not admit Muggle-borns, a prejudiced policy that sets it apart from schools like Hogwarts and Beauxbatons. The curriculum is a direct reflection of Harfang Munter's foundational changes. While standard subjects like charms, potions, and transfiguration are taught, the curriculum is unique in its prominent and unapologetic inclusion of the dark arts and dueling as core, required classes. Unlike at Hogwarts, where students learn defense against the dark arts, Durmstrang students study the dark arts themselves, gaining a practical and theoretical understanding of curses and hexes that would be forbidden elsewhere. This is not to say the school is exclusively for dark wizards. Rather, it operates on the principle that to defeat an enemy, one must fully understand their weapons. The list of elective courses reinforces this martial focus, offering specialized and dangerous fields of study such as demonology, rituals and curses, toxicology, and combat, which includes training with weaponry like staffs. The educational structure is also geared towards specialization. For their first 2 years, students receive a broad education in magical fundamentals. At the end of their second year, they take an intensive aptitude test, after which they choose a focused path of study for their remaining years, preparing them for careers as curse breakers, duelists, or other highly specialized professions. This rigorous, focused, and morally ambiguous education produces witches and wizards of formidable power and unwavering resolve. They are taught to be survivors, to value strength above all else, and to see magic as a tool of power in a world defined by conflict. No history of Durmstrang is complete without confronting the long, dark shadow cast by its most infamous student, Gellert Grindelwald. Even in a school that embraced the study of the dark arts, Grindelwald's brilliance was matched only by his depravity. He attended Durmstrang in the late 19th century, and while there, he became obsessed with the legend of the Deathly Hallows, a fixation that would define his entire life. Before he was ultimately expelled, he carved the triangular symbol of the Hallows onto a wall within the school, a mark of defiance that remained there for over a century, a chilling reminder of the dark wizard who once walked its halls. Grindelwald was expelled at the age of 16 for twisted experiments and near-fatal attacks on his fellow students. The exact nature of these experiments is not recorded in official histories, but they were so extreme that even Durmstrang's tolerant administration could not ignore them. It is a testament to his darkness that he managed to cross a line that the school itself had drawn so far into the shadows. Theories abound as to what he did. Some speculate that his experiments involved attempts to create and control obscurials, or to breach the veil between life and death in his quest to master the Hallows. Others believe, based on a letter from a young Albus Dumbledore, that his expulsion was due to his use of excessive and brutal force against those who opposed his burgeoning for the greater good philosophy, a philosophy that placed wizard-kind as the rightful rulers over muggles. Whatever the specifics, Grindelwald's legacy permanently stained the school's reputation. He became the second great Dark Lord of the modern era, his reign of terror across Europe, preceding Voldemort's by decades. His rise to power followed in the latter half of the 20th century by the headmastership of Igor Karkaroff, a former Death Eater who fled his post at the news of Voldemort's return, cemented Durmstrang's reputation as a breeding ground for dark magic. While the school itself has produced many great witches and wizards, and its dark reputation was perhaps never entirely merited, the specter of Grindelwald looms large, a perpetual reminder of the fine line between teaching strength and cultivating tyranny. Now our journey takes us across the Atlantic to the shores of North America, and to a story of founding that is steeped in tragedy, resilience, and the radical hope of a new beginning. The story of Ilvermorny School of Witchcraft and Wizardry is the story of one remarkable witch, Iseult Sayre. Iseult was born around 1603 in the Coombe Loughra Valley of County Kerry, Ireland, the child of two pure-blood wizarding families. Her lineage was ancient and powerful. Through her father, William, she was a direct descendant of the famous Irish witch, Morrigan, while her mother, Rhinoc, was descended from one of the most infamous wizards in history, Salazar Slytherin. Her early childhood was idyllic. Her parents were kind and loving, and they quietly used their magical abilities to help their muggle neighbors, healing both people and livestock. This peaceful existence was shattered when Iseult was just 5 years old. An attack on their home left her parents dead in a terrible fire. Iseult was rescued from the flames by her mother's estranged sister, Gurmley the Gaunt. Gurmley was a fanatical pure-blood supremacist, a true heir to the Gaunt and Slytherin legacy of hatred for Muggles. She had murdered her own sister and brother-in-law, believing their kindness to Muggles was a betrayal of their sacred bloodline. She kidnapped the young Iseult and took her to the neighboring valley of Hag's Glen, determined to raise the girl the right way. For 12 years, Iseult lived as Gurmlith's prisoner. She was isolated from the world and subjected to her aunt's cruel ideology, forced to watch as Gurmlith cursed any muggles or animals that strayed too near their cottage. When Iseult's Hogwarts letter arrived, Gurmlith refused to let her attend, calling the school a dangerously egalitarian establishment full of mudbloods. Yet, in her tirades against the school, Gurmlith inadvertently painted a picture of a magical paradise in Iseult's mind. Hogwarts became a symbol of everything she yearned for: friendship, knowledge, and freedom. Finally, after years of enduring Gurmlith's control through powerful dark magic, Iseult developed the skill and courage to escape. One night, she stole her aunt's wand, never having been permitted her own, and a golden brooch shaped like a Gordian knot that had belonged to her mother, and she fled. The wand she took was ancient and powerful, made of snakewood with a core of basilisk horn. Unknown to Iseult, it was the original wand of her ancestor Salazar Slytherin himself. Fearing Gurmlith's prodigious tracking abilities, Iseult fled first to England. When her aunt's pursuit followed, she took a drastic step. She cut her hair, disguised herself as a Muggle boy named Elias Story, and in 1620 she set sail for the New World aboard the Mayflower, hoping to vanish into a land so vast and unknown that even Gurmlith's magic could not find her. Upon arriving in America, Iseult left the Puritan settlers and vanished into the mountains of what would one day become Massachusetts. Alone in the harsh wilderness, she encountered two of the New World's magical creatures. The first was a hide-behind, a terrifying forest specter, which was in the process of attacking a small, gray-faced, large-eared creature known as a Pukwudgie. Iseult saved the Pukwudgie, who, though deeply grumpy and distrustful of humans, declared himself bound to her until he could repay his debt. As he refused to give his name, Isolde called him William, after her father. Her other significant encounter was with a great horned river serpent that lived in a nearby creek. While William the Pukwudgie was terrified of the beast, Isolde felt a strange kinship with it. Being a descendant of Slytherin, she found she could understand the serpent's sibilant whispers. It gave her a single, cryptic message that would echo throughout her life. Until I am part of your family is doomed. Isolde's solitary life changed forever when she and William discovered the aftermath of another hide-behind attack. The creature had killed a pair of wizarding parents, leaving their 2 young sons, Chadwick and Webster Boot, gravely injured. Isolde insisted on saving the boys, and after a furious argument, William grudgingly helped her carry them back to her shelter. After nursing the boys back to health, Isolde went to bury their parents and there met James Stewart, a no-maj stonemason from the Plymouth settlement who had been friends with the Boot family. When James picked up one of the broken wands and it rebelled, knocking him unconscious, Isolde took him in as well. She had intended to obliviate his memory once he recovered, but they fell in love and married. Together, this unlikely group, a pure-blood Irish witch, a no-maj stonemason, and 2 orphaned wizard boys, formed a new family. James used his skills to help Isolde build a stone house atop Mount Greylock, which she named Ilvermorny, in memory of the destroyed cottage of her happy childhood. As the Boot boys grew, they spoke often of Hogwarts, a place they knew only from stories. Yearning to give them the magical education she herself had been denied, Isolde promised that when they turned 11, they would start their own school of magic right there in their cottage home. The idea captivated the boys, and together the 4 family members laid the foundations for what would become the Great North American Wizarding School. Insisting it must have 4 houses like Hogwarts, each member of the family chose their favorite magical creature to represent a house, thus imbuing the houses with their own personalities. Isolde, remembering her bond, chose the horned serpent. This house would come to represent the mind and favor scholars. Webster, argumentative but fiercely loyal, chose the wampus, a magical panther known for strength and resilience. This house represents the body and favors warriors. Chadwick, intelligent yet temperamental, picked the Thunderbird, a creature creating storms as it flew. This house represents the soul and favors adventurers. And James, the no-maj, honored the grumpy but ultimately good-hearted William by choosing the Pukwudgie. This house represents the heart and favors healers. When Chadwick turned 11, Isolde, guided by a dream, took a sliver of horn from her friend the horned serpent, and with James's help, created a powerful wand for him. As their small school's reputation grew among local Native American tribes and other settlers, they made more wands and welcomed more students. Over the years, their small stone cottage magically grew into a grand granite castle, concealed from no magi's by powerful enchantments that manifest as a wreath of misty cloud at the peak of Mount Greylock. The very foundation of Ilvermorny is a testament to a new, uniquely American philosophy of magic, co-founded by a no-mage, inspired by both European traditions and indigenous American creatures, and created by a descendant of Salazar Slytherin, who utterly rejected his ideology of blood purity. Ilvermorny became known as one of the most democratic and least elitist of all the great wizarding schools. This is beautifully reflected in its sorting ceremony. New students stand on a Gordian knot symbol in the entrance hall, and the 4 enchanted carvings of the house mascots react. The horned serpent's forehead crystal lights up. The wampus roars, the thunderbird beats its wings, and the puckwudgie raises its arrow. If more than one house claims a student, the choice rests not with an ancient artifact, but with the student themselves. Ilvermorny is a magical melting pot, a place where worth is defined by character and choice, not by ancestry. The magical embodiment of the American ideal of forging a new identity, free from the prejudices of the old world. The peace and growth of Ilvermorny were destined to be challenged. Word of a new magical school in North America, founded by a witch nicknamed Morrigan, who had married a muggle, eventually traveled back across the Atlantic to Ireland. Gurmleth Gaunt, upon hearing the name Ilvermorny, realized with fury that her long-lost niece was not only alive, but was flagrantly defying every pure-blood principle she held dear. Consumed by a desire for revenge, she set sail for America. She arrived at Mount Greylock in 1635, under the cover of a winter night. Creeping up to the castle, she cast a powerful curse of enchanted slumber over Iseult and James. Then, she spoke a single word in Parseltongue, a sibilant hiss that commanded Salazar Slytherin's wand, still on Iseult's nightstand, to sleep, rendering it inert. Gurmla, however, was unaware of Chadwick and Webster, now teenagers with wands of their own. Their wands, containing twin cores of horned serpent horn, reacted to the Parseltongue with a low musical warning note that woke the boys. Unable to wake their parents, the 2 brothers bravely faced Gurmla in a desperate duel outside the school. The battle was fierce, shattering the walls and windows of the young castle. The commotion and the terrified cries of Iseult and James's own infant twin daughters, Martha and Ryanok, finally broke Gurmleth's curse. James rushed to protect the babies while Iseult grabbed Slytherin's wand, only to find it useless in her hand. As Gurmleth cornered the family, preparing to kill them all, Iseult cried out in despair for her murdered father, screaming the name William. Miles away in the forest, William the Puckwudgie heard her cry, and, believing he was being summoned, appeared on the windowsill in an instant. Seeing his first and only human friend in mortal danger, he let fly a single poison-tipped arrow, which struck Gurmleth directly in the heart. The dark witch let out a final terrible shriek, and her body, supercharged with dark magic, shattered into brittle pieces, turning to a pile of smoking dust. In the aftermath, William and his Pukwudgie family moved into the school, acting as its security and maintenance staff, a tradition that continues to this day. Isolt and James, no longer wanting anything to do with the dark legacy of Slytherin's wand, buried it on the grounds. From that spot grew a unique snakewood tree whose leaves were found to possess powerful medicinal properties, turning a relic of hatred into a source of healing. The attack was over, and the legacy of Ilvermorny, a school founded on love, acceptance, and the courage of an unlikely family, was secured forever. Let us now travel to the continent where magic itself is said to have been born. Our destination is Uagadou, the largest and oldest of all the 11 great wizarding schools. Its only given address is the Mountains of the Moon, an ancient name for the Rwenzori Mountains in modern-day Uganda. This is a land steeped in myth. The local Bakonzo people consider the mountains sacred, the dwelling place of the creator god, Kitha Samba, and other powerful spirits. Uagadou is not a castle in the European sense, but a stunning, sprawling edifice carved directly out of the mountainside, perpetually shrouded in mist so that it sometimes appears to be floating in midair. The method of admission to Uagadou is as unique and mystical as the school itself. There are no letters delivered by owl. Instead, the headmaster or headmistress sends dream messengers to prospective students. These messengers appear to children while they sleep, informing them of their acceptance. Upon waking, the child finds a token, usually an inscribed stone, clutched in their hand as tangible proof that the dream was real. The curriculum at Uagadou reflects its ancient heritage and the belief that much, if not all, magic originated in Africa. Graduates are especially well-versed in astronomy, alchemy, and most famously, self-transfiguration. The students' prowess in this field is legendary. At a recent international symposium of animagi, the Uagadou school team caused a near riot when they gave an exhibition of synchronized transformation. These were 14-year-old students who could turn into elephants and cheetahs at will, a display of mastery that deeply unsettled many older, more experienced wizards. Crucially, much of the magic at Uagadou is performed without wands. The wand is a European invention, and while African witches and wizards have adopted it as a useful tool in the last century, their magical tradition is far older and more fundamental. Many spells are cast simply by pointing a finger or through complex hand gestures. This is not a sign of less advanced magic, but rather a mastery of magic in its rawest, most innate form. It positions the European reliance on wands as a regional development, a tool to channel and focus power that is not strictly necessary for those who have mastered the art at its source. This understanding reframes the entire global magical landscape, revealing that the heart of magical tradition and the largest center of its learning lie not in Europe, but in Africa, where magic is practiced with a direct and primal connection that predates the invention of the wand. A famous graduate who embodies this power is Babajide Akingbade, who succeeded Albus Dumbledore as the supreme mugwump of the International Confederation of Wizards. From the heart of Africa, we travel east to an uninhabited volcanic island in Japan named Minami Iwo Jima. Here, at the island's highest point, stands the ornate and exquisite palace of Mahuto Koro, the Japanese school of magic. The name itself is a combination of the Japanese words for magic, maho, and place, Tokoro. The entire palace is constructed from mutton fat jade, a translucent, milky white stone that gives the school an ethereal, glowing appearance. In East Asian folklore, jade is a stone of immense spiritual significance, associated with purity, wisdom, harmony, and protection. The very substance of the school is therefore imbued with the cultural values it seeks to instill in its students. Mahuto Koro has the smallest student body of the 11 great schools, and it accepts pupils from the young age of 7, although they do not begin boarding until they are 11. Until then, these day students are flown to and from their homes each day on the backs of a flock of giant storm petrels, enormous seabirds native to the island. Upon arrival, each student is presented with a set of enchanted robes. These robes are deeply symbolic and central to the school's culture. They begin as a faint pink color and grow with their wearer. As the student's knowledge and magical skill increase, the robes gradually change color, deepening through the years until they become a brilliant gold for those who achieve top grades in every subject. The robes, however, also serve as a public record of a student's honor. If a student betrays the Japanese wizard's code, practices illegal dark magic, or breaks the international statute of secrecy, their robes will instantly turn white. To turn white is a terrible disgrace, resulting in immediate expulsion and a trial before the Japanese Ministry for Magic. This system instills a powerful sense of personal responsibility and public accountability, where one's honor, or lack thereof, is visible for all to see. While Mahuto Koro is known for its impressive academic prowess, its most outstanding reputation is for Quidditch. Legend has it that the game was introduced to Japan centuries ago by a band of foolhardy Hogwarts students who were blown off course while attempting to circumnavigate the globe on inadequate broomsticks. They were rescued by the staff of Mahuto Koro and, during their stay, taught their hosts the rudiments of the game, a move they would later live to regret. The students of Mahuto Koro took to the sport with an intensity and discipline that has become legendary. Their training regimen is notoriously grueling. They practice over a turbulent, stormy sea, forced to contend with high winds and crashing waves, while keeping an eye out not only for bludgers, but also for Muggle airplanes from an airbase on a neighboring island. This brutal training forges players of incredible skill and endurance, which is why every member of the Japanese national Quidditch team and the champion Toyohashi Tengu team are graduates of Mahuto Koro. Our next stop takes us to the vibrant, teeming heart of the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. Hidden deep within the jungle lies Castelo Bruxo, the South American school of magic. Its name literally means Wizard Castle in Portuguese. To the rare muggle who might stumble upon it, the school appears to be nothing more than an ancient, crumbling ruin, a clever piece of concealment magic it shares with Hogwarts. For wizards, however, it is an imposing square edifice of golden rock, its architecture so grand that it is often compared to a temple. The school and its grounds are protected by the Kaipora, small, furry spirit beings who are extraordinarily mischievous and tricky. These creatures are drawn from Brazilian folklore, where they are known as guardians of the forest and its animals. They emerge under the cover of night to watch over the students and the myriad magical creatures that live in the surrounding rainforest. The former headmistress of Castelo Bruxo, Benedita Daurado, once famously laughed at a Hogwarts headmaster's complaints about Peeves, the poltergeist, offering to send him some Kaipora to show you what trouble really is. The students of Castelo Bruxo, who come from all over South America, wear bright green robes, a fitting color for a school so deeply connected to the natural world. Unsurprisingly, the school's curriculum has a special focus on herbology and magizoology, and its students are considered especially advanced in these subjects. The unparalleled biodiversity of the Amazon provides them with a living laboratory unlike any other in the world. Because of this, the school offers very popular exchange programs for European students who wish to study the magical flora and fauna of South America. It was one such trip that a young Bill Weasley hoped to take, though his family could not afford it, leading his disappointed Brazilian pen pal to send him a cursed hat in retaliation. Castelo Bruxo has produced many famous graduates who have made their mark on the wizarding world. One of the most notable is Libatius Borage, the world-renowned potioneer and author of Advanced Potion Making, the very textbook used by sixth-year students at Hogwarts. Another is João Coelho, the celebrated captain of the world-famous Quidditch team, the Tarapoto Tree Skimmers. Castelo Bruxo stands as a testament to the powerful magic that resides in the natural world. A golden temple dedicated to understanding the vibrant and often dangerous lifeblood of the planet. For our final visit, we venture into the vast, snow-covered expanse of Russia, to the highly secretive and enigmatic school known as Koldovstorets. The school's name is a direct and fitting combination of the Russian words for witchcraft, Koldovstvo, and palace, Dvorets, literally the palace of witchcraft. While its exact location is unknown, it is believed to be near Lake Brosno, protected by numerous charms, and, according to legend, by a great dragon that lives in the lake's depths. Though its official history is sparse, A popular and fitting lore suggests it was founded in the late 17th century by 4 children of noble houses sent into exile together during the Russo-Turkish War. Discovering their shared magical abilities in isolation, they bonded and later resolved to create a school where children of nobility could learn magic in a safe and structured environment. This origin would explain the school's highly elite and almost militaristic culture. Koldovstorets is said to be stringent in its selection of students, requiring each prospective pupil to pass an entrance exam that includes a demonstration of rudimentary magical aptitude. Discipline is strict, and individuality is secondary to conformity and the rules of the school. But by far the most famous and bewildering aspect of Koldovstorets is its unique version of Quidditch. The students of this Russian academy do not play the sport on mere broomsticks. Instead, they fly on entire, uprooted trees. The image is as chaotic as it is powerful. A whirlwind of splintered wood and roaring players, commanding raw, living timber through the air with immense force. This practice suggests a form of magic that is fundamentally different from the refined spellcasting of Beauxbatons or the precise academics of Hogwarts. It points to a deep, primal connection to nature magic, one that is less about scientific study and more about the raw domination of natural forces. It evokes the spirit of ancient Slavic folklore, of figures like the Leshy, the powerful and unpredictable master of the forest. The magic of Koldovstorets seems to be a reflection of its homeland, vast, untamed, immensely powerful, and deeply tied to the raw, wild spirit of the earth itself. Our journey through the hidden corners of the wizarding world comes to a close, from the sun-drenched elegance of Beauxbatons to the icy discipline of Durmstrang, from the hopeful, democratic dream of Ilvermorny to the ancient primal magics of Uagadou, Mahutokoro, Castello Bruxo, and Koldovstorets. We have seen but a glimpse of the rich and varied ways that magic manifests across the globe. Each school, a reflection of its culture, its history, and its land, teaches a different philosophy of power, of knowledge, and of what it means to be a witch or a wizard. Though their methods and traditions may differ, they are all united by the same fundamental pursuit of understanding the wondrous, mysterious force that binds their world together. The tapestry of magic is vast, and we have only traced a few of its most brilliant threads tonight. Thank you for joining me on this quiet exploration of the lore.